So today we're going to be working on my grandpa's 92 GMC. I put a 4.6 drop on it, cruised it a very long time just like that, and then the engine just decided to start running a little rich and kind of weird. So we're going to try to diagnose that today, see if we can't get this thing back on the road, and maybe even give it a little bit of a makeover. So from some of the forums and stuff that I've read on these old TBI trucks, one of the things that could be making this thing run rich is obviously the throttle body. Could have some injector problem, something like that. I'm not really familiar with the TBI stuff. That's why I've been kind of reading a lot and trying to figure out what's going on with this old truck. We're gonna go through, I'm gonna try, the first thing is gonna be temp sensor. And then I've got a new thermostat because this thing, the temp gauge inside, it just bounces all over the place. With that being said, if that thing is, the computer's seeing that the temperature's wrong, it can be trying to add fuel and just doing all kinds of weird stuff. We'll address that. And I just found out lower radiator hose has a little bit of a cut in it, so probably be dropping that and trying to find something for that as well. First thing I'm gonna tackle is the thermostat. We'll get that off, and then the temp sensor is right beside it here. There's a jam nut in here, and there's two wires that come in here just grounding for your temp sensor. So before you start cranking that thing, just make sure you break those free or you will rip the two wires out. There's one and two. Clean that surface up a little bit, and we'll go back with the new one. In with our new thermostat, and in with our gasket. This gasket is kind of odd. I don't know if this is supposed to be peeled off of this. And back with our nuts and bolts and all that good stuff. I just found that, so that's going to be a hell of a vacuum leak too, so maybe that was what our whole problem was. Huh. It's for the PCV valve, I guess, so maybe just cap that off for now and see if that helps anything at all. Now we gotta get in here and do our temp sensor. So the temp sensor that I purchased from the auto parts store is apparently the wrong one. The connector inside of here is a lot bigger than it is this one, and also this has like kind of a blade style where these are almost like just a little pin, and this one's got a blade going this way and this way, where it's obviously not going to work with what we got. So I'm just going to toss the old one back in. We're going to plug that vacuum leak that might potentially be our problem, and we'll go from there and see what we got. I'm gonna just run around here, check everything else, make sure there's no other busted little vacuum lines where we could be getting this little vacuum action going. There is a lot of vacuum lines on this thing. Any kind of vacuum line, I'm sure, is going to mess up the map sensor and all that stuff in the computer. That's why I don't like messing with this stuff a lot of the times. Alright, let's try firing this thing up real quick. Seems to be running a little bit better actually, so maybe that's all it was. Maybe it was just that vacuum leak, but obviously not going to be driving this thing around very much today with the torn radiator hose, and it seems like it's pretty low on coolant, so that's probably going to be something I'm going to snag tomorrow, but we can kind of push forward on maybe doing a little bit of the cosmetic side of things. Let's do that real quick. So if you're a fan of OBS's at all, you know the go-to wheel is pretty much American Racing Torque Thrust. I mean, a lot of people run these, and I'm a big fan of them. I had an OBS back in high school, and I really wanted some torque thrust on it, but you know how it is when you're in high school, you don't have the cash to do that kind of stuff. So lucked out, my buddy Logan gave me a heck of a deal on these. So I got one cleaned up, and if you've watched the other videos, you know I put these on the 66 GMC. They look great on that truck, but I don't know. I just don't really like 17s on an older vehicle. This, being a little newer, I think it'll suit them much better. So let's pop those 15s off here, see what the 17 looks like. Alright, so I really dig the way that looks. I know I don't have the right lug nuts for it. I mean, these are going to be fine, but they just look like crap. But that's what I got today, so that's what we're going to throw on it. I got to go over to the GMC now, pull all three of the other remaining wheels off, and we're going to swap them on to this truck. Yep, here we go. Alright, I got the other three wheels off of the 66 GMC. I'm just going to walk you through kind of what I did on the other one and how I just got it pretty clean. They're not perfect by any means, but a lot better than they are right here. So just grabbing some sweet patina, just the all-purpose cleaner by him, and I just sprayed these things down real good, kind of let them soak. Road debris or anything like that. It's just from where these things sit in my buddy's loft for a while. They just got dirty. They just sat around for a long time, so just kind of let this soak in real good. And then I'm just going to come back with a microfiber and clean them up. If I had water out here, I could probably wash them down a little bit, and that would have helped out quite a bit, but I don't have running water in the shop, so that's not really an option for us. I don't really feel like hauling these all the way up to the house just to spray them down, when we can do this and get pretty similar results. I know some people hate microfibers because of the way they feel. What do you use down below in the comments? Tell me. I had a guy, when I bought a pack of microfibers, he thought that I was crazy because he couldn't stand the way they feel. It doesn't really bother me, I guess, but I guess some people have some issues with them. I know my wife, she doesn't really like them. Alright, so I found this metal polish, Duragloss metal polish. Found that in my cabinet, so that's why I started using this. Actually has a picture of a torque thrust on there, so you know it's probably meant for it. But I've got just this little pad here. Just dabbed a little bit on here. And just kind of worked her around a little bit here. Just kind of wipe this thing down. Like I said, this isn't going to be a perfect polish the first time, but they're going to look a lot better than they did. On the inside here, I'm just using this and just kind of doing the same thing, but it's just all by hand. Kind of rubbing around on this. So, I'm going to just do that, rub around on all these, and I'll catch up with you here in a minute. Alright, so night one is in the books. May not have felt very productive to you guys, but I'm pretty stoked with the turnout so far. Tomorrow the hit list is going to be, we got that radiator hose. I'm going to try to get the right sensor on this thing and hopefully take it up to the house, maybe even clean it. And we need to get a test drive in on this thing. But I don't know if the camera's doing it any justice at all. But she's a dirty girl right now. So, I'll see you guys in the morning. Alrighty, it's been a day or so. I had to wait on this radiator hose, which is the lower here. Like I was saying, as that steering was rubbing across here, it finally wore a hole in there, so I'm getting a little coolant loss there. And I also picked up the actual proper temp sensor. Been reading a lot that this is probably going to be our issue. Fingers crossed. But there is still a couple things we can do if that doesn't work. But first thing I'm going to do is start getting this hose on. It's going to be kind of hard to show you guys in here. I'll do what I can do. Alright, got our hose reconnected. That was a pain in the absolute tail. Had to snake it through that radiator shroud, which you've seen it kind of has that sheathing on it or whatever. Then back here you gotta force feed it up there. Yeah, that was a not so fun radiator hose to put on. Second thing on our list is going to be our temp sensor, which is right next to your thermostat housing, and it's just 2-wire temp sensor. And I've heard a lot of things that is mainly the culprit on a rich running TBI, so we will see. Well, apparently that's probably not going to be our issue, doesn't look like. I did grab an O2 sensor too. I might just go ahead and toss that thing on there too. Oh man, that's why I don't like these newer systems. Well, I think I might have found our problem child. So this is our knock sensor. I was over here messing with our O2 sensor and all that, about to change that out, which happens, I got the wrong one anyway. But you can see this wire here is cut. So just what I was kind of reading up on the internet was when this knock sensor goes bad, which in our case is definitely not working due to that, it will retard the timing and it'll just make your vehicle run like absolute poop. So that's kind of what the truck's doing right now. And with retarded timing, I'm guessing it would be rich, you know, it's not burning the fuel adequately, so we might have been chasing our tail for no reason, and this right here could have been our culprit all along. Let's snake in here real quick, get this fixed up hopefully, see what we got. Alright, so this is what I came up with for the repair. Sorry I didn't get to video any of it, it's just really tight down here, but I just scabbed in this other piece of blue wire into our connector, so now our knock sensor is all set up and everything should be good. Got our O2 sensor plugged back in because, like I was saying, currently do not have the right one. I'll probably replace that eventually anyway, so fingers crossed. Let's drop this thing back down, fire it up. All right, cross your fingers, hopefully we got it this time. Starter's not sounding happy now. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. So I've had the truck idling here for, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes, kind of getting up to temp. I want this thing to open up just so we can get a little bit more cooling in here. You can see that's still cool to touch, so thermostat has not opened yet. As you can see in there, we're still pretty cool, but went ahead, took the time, went around, torqued our lug nuts. Just by standing over here, I can tell it's not nearly as rich coming out of here. Obviously there's some moisture, but it's a little chilly out, so you're gonna have that. I do like these wheels a ton, but I want to get this thing warmed up, get us some coolant in it. It does seem to be really smoothing out. I don't know if, like, the PCM computer, I don't know if that thing learns as it goes, kind of like the Holly stuff. I don't really know how any of that works, so I'm just guessing. Wish I could tell you guys a little bit more on it, but I really don't know. So just kind of letting it do its thing right now. I'm going to go ahead and slap that air cleaner on. Once that thermostat opens up, flows through here, I'm going to finish filling that thing up, and then we're going to take this on a rip. I'm gonna head to the gas station right now. The truck's actually driving pretty good. The new tires are kind of wild. They stick out a little farther, obviously, than the old 15s. So, yeah, they're throwing a little rockage and stuff like that. It's kind of like driving a four-wheel drive, kind of different. I need an alignment on this thing pretty bad, too. So, doesn't veer or nothing, but it did get a hold of the inside of the wheels on the last set of tires I had on this, so I don't want to do the same thing with this. But yeah, I'm hoping some fresh 93 in this thing, maybe above the octane of this old gas. Maybe it'll help it run even that much better, because like I was saying, this thing has sat for some time. So first thing Saturday morning, Layla and I loaded up in the old GMC, headed down to our local parts store, which is just right down the road. It was just going to be a quick little turnaround, but when we got there, we found out the hours had changed. So we went over across the bridge, which was a little bit farther, but still a good morning, and we got the parts that I thought we needed. but in my haste I messed up, didn't put an O-ring in right, and we sprayed fuel all over the place. So with running out of time, we moved on to plan B, and everybody loaded into the old dually and Nellie's little camera shy. So the trip kind of took us down some old back roads in Kentucky. Just rode along, got to see a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool scenery. Got to ride along the river for a long time. When we ended up at the Jailhouse Pizza, I think Nellie was pretty excited. So the cruise consisted of just about everything that you could imagine, cars, trucks, anything. We even had a pretty cool Pinto there, so the pizza was killer too, but let's get back to the GMC now. So we need to get this thing cleaned up. It's set for 2 years now, and it's collected quite the filth and grime, as you can see on this hood here. So let's get the pressure washer and some soap on this thing and see what we can come up with. So this episode didn't go exactly according to plan. We were going to take this on the little road trip we went on today, but ended up messing around with that throttle body a little bit too much, got in a rush, and yeah, didn't work out. So we ended up taking the dually, but we've got the GMC back on the road. It's a big win for me. Got it cleaned up now, so hopefully start getting this thing, get some miles under it. It's still got a little bit of a hesitation. I don't know exactly what's going on. I've got a OBD1 to OBD2 adapter on the way because we do have a check engine light, but I don't have any way to check it as of right now. So that's going to be on the game plan. I've got a couple little plans in the works for this truck. In the future, it'll be on the channel, obviously, so hopefully you enjoyed the OBS content. Let me know if you did. Thank you so much for sticking in here, and I'll see you on the next one.